hands, my dear, and look me in my eyes. Just like a monkey, I've been dancing my whole life. But you just beg to see me dance just one more time. Ooh, I see you, see you, see you every time. And on my eye, I like your style. You make me wanna cry. And now I beg to see you dance just one more time. So they say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh, oh. I've never seen it.
Alrighty, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday to all of you. Julian, Michael, Wolvie, Stan. I was actually thinking about you, Stan. I was like, I wonder if Stan, because Stan's gonna make it today. Stan has made it. Alright, quick mic check. You guys know the drill. So Julian says he's looked at the daily Ichimoku TK cross that we discussed in yesterday's Discord video. So those of you who aren't in our Discord, make sure you do join. We posted a Discord only video in there just before the bi-weekly close. He goes on to say the TK and Kijun should recross bullish in about 6 days, even without new local highs. Interesting. Okay, need to double check, but I think that's correct. Yeah, the thing is, we just need the TK to, or rather price to hold the TK if we do get the retest, right? How's it going for Had? How's it going, Harshit? If we do have time, we'll talk about Cardano too. Today I want to talk about general market conditions because people have been misunderstanding. Of course, we're gonna start off with some fun stuff in regards to Elon. Then we'll jump right into it. Let's have some casual banter to begin with, and gonna jump into Bitcoin. And then I think we do have time for some altcoin analysis, but not all that much time because I have to rush to the ortho today. So as much as I'd love to stay with you guys, because I usually say, hey, this is gonna be a quick analysis, and I end up staying here for like 2 hours. Today, there's an actual time limit on me. Mahul, good morning, buddy. Alright, is the audio good? Should I turn it down? Turn down the music? Or no? My author just texted me. Alright, so I am on for my author appointment today. We should jump right into it. No more delaying. I need to set though. Alrighty, I hope that's good. Of course I have to mess it up. There we go. Good morning. My name is Sean Dexter, and I welcome you back to yet another Mango live stream. Again, before we begin, let's do one last audio check. I'm gonna just turn down the music because what tends to happen is for people who do watch this after, because I mean most of the world is asleep at the moment. Well, not most of the world. Smash the likes while we just make sure everything's okay. Yeah, should we do that? I know we should, eh? Let's do it. I think it's time. It's definitely time. All right, let's jump right into it. I want to start off with this tweet right over here by Elon. I think a lot of things are just going unnoticed at the moment because the market is so freaking distracted, right? Either with just being demotivated or because, hey, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful summer. And there's so much happening. There's so many undercurrents that's going completely unnoticed that I can't help but get bullish, okay? And I have to really check myself for here. I'm getting so bullish that I may need to counter trade myself. So I'm going to have checks on myself at the moment. But if I just look at the holistic picture, I think it's just so easy to manage the risk. That's kind of why I'm getting bullish. It's not only because of the upside targets. It's because of everything put together and with how easy it is to manage risk, whether you're putting on short-term positions, mid-term positions, or even long-term positions, because everything is in such equilibrium at the moment. Oh, Krisha's in here too? I don't see her chat. Is my chat delayed or something? Or is Krisha... Okay, so let's talk about the tweet right over here. Elon, as you guys know, always likes to be in the center of attention. You know, there's something I've been mentioning to Krisha since like 2020 when Bitcoin initially broke past $20,000, went up to like $35,000 in no time, and somehow Elon managed to make himself the center of attention even then, right? Tesla bought Bitcoin, Elon became controversial, started shilling Doge, started coming out against Bitcoin as well while buying Bitcoin. He's like, Bitcoin needs to improve, Bitcoin can be so much better, etc., etc. He just ended up being controversial to the Bitcoin community while still holding Bitcoin and ended up being the center of attention. Elon is a marketing genius, right? Love him or hate him, okay? This guy is a marketing genius. Like the entire Bitcoin community hated him back then. He was so freaking annoying. Like he came out, started saying things like he knows everything about everything, and actually did not make sense to a lot of Bitcoiners. But it didn't matter, right? He was the center of attention. If you guys think about it, this guy has always made himself the center of attention. And back then, I was annoyed because I'm like, how has he done it again? Like he's sitting there with a panel of Bitcoiners arguing about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was the center of attention in the world, right? Back then, everyone was talking about Bitcoin, around $40K to $50,000, and he managed to put himself in there. Then we had the presidential election. He was bam in the center of attention again, right? As soon as the Trump attempted assassination played out, he found the opportunity. Now, I'm not saying he's doing this maliciously, right? He might just be doing this naturally. It might come to him naturally, but he's always in the center of it all. Like even with the OpenAI drama. Now, of course, that is a different story. But anyways, even with OpenAI, he somehow is connected to that too. Every time, right? Elon is the center of attention. Now over here, he wants to really be at the center of the left and the right, where he wants to start his own party, right? Now, this might actually be a very, very good thing long term for America, because Doge, while it was admirable, in my opinion, was always unrealistic, right? It was never gonna play out the way he wanted it to, at the very least. Okay, if you guys go back and study history, austerity has never, ever worked out well for politicians who want to stay in power. Okay? Austerity never works out. So this might actually be a way where Elon could actually make a difference, because he doesn't need the party to be in power. He just needs the party to be a check on bad spending, right? So that's a different story. What I found really, really interesting was this little bit over here. I want you guys to focus on this bit over here. Elon Musk, will America party embrace Bitcoin? Elon, fiat is hopeless. So yes, this is what I'm talking about. I've been talking about this again for a while now. The mind share, the acceptance that Bitcoin has achieved is being mispriced on the charts. Completely being mispriced, right? Just 4 or 5 years ago, Elon, even though Tesla bought Bitcoin, was coming around saying Bitcoin can be improved, Doge can be the better Bitcoin, etc. But now, like, people have just mentally capitulated without realizing it. So many macro investors, so many tech founders, etc. They're just capitulating. It's gaining acceptance at a faster rate than even gold did historically, right? Of course, technology and mass communication media has a huge role to play in that. But that is our opportunity, right? The markets aren't pricing that. Bully says, YouTube is so stupid sometimes, it doesn't load the waiting stream unless you're on the page, apparently. Chauvin is in here. How's it going? I need a glass of water. Jesus Christ, man. I forgot to get my water here. So, this is important, and then again, you guys can like give me your thoughts on what Peter Schiff says over here. Now, this is politics, which is not. Mango doesn't talk about politics, so I'm not going to talk about it, but you guys can read it. Schiff says, Elon, you're not in the center of the Democrats and the Republicans. Both of those parties are to your left. Both of those parties want big government. You want much smaller government, and I think everyone would agree that bigger governments get bloated and are inefficient, but for some reason we think government can fix all the problems, which doesn't seem to ever work out in the long term. Canada now is voting in for bigger government. We're really realizing it, right? Okay, now there's something in specific I want to talk about today, okay? We're going to do a long-term analysis of this idea that in the summer, you should just pack your bags and leave, go touch some grass, blah, 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 not focus at all because you're going to be wasting your time. This idea, right? I really want to talk about it, okay? Because I think it is probably one of the most damaging narratives put out to retailers, right? And it's insidious. It's very insidious. And we're going to go and do a proper check on whether that narrative is true today. But before we do that, I just want to quickly talk about the bi-weekly close. Okay? We had a very important bi-weekly close at the moment. And again, could be very insidious because people might be missing it. Unless you zoom in, you will see that the bi-weekly closed above the bi-weekly candle close highs. Will we mention this in the C chat too? I was waiting for someone to mention it, and he did. He is really on point. He's focused. You can tell, right? Like usually these kind of candles, everyone would have noticed. Someone would have mentioned it, but no one mentioned it. No one's focused. I can tell. No one cares at the moment. And you guys are going to pay the price. Okay? Now's the time to be focusing. I'm going to show it to you guys right here on this chart. Okay, so what's the narrative? You know, there's a phrase, right? Sell in May and go away, or something like that. Sell in May and go away, right? Basically, the idea is just go enjoy the summer because nothing's going to happen, and you're gonna regret wasting your time in the markets. So I think about that idea, right? I'm like, why do people think that? Because that doesn't sit in line with what I feel about the markets. Like, I've never got that idea that ignoring the summer is bad. And I sat down and thought about why would people think that? And then I realized that the reason they think that is because most of them get drawn in at the top of the markets and trade the bear market summers, right? So I needed an anchor to say, okay, how do we say, we are in the middle of the bull market as opposed to the tail end of either the beginning or the start of the bull market as opposed to the tail end of the market, which is the bear market, right? If you think about it through a cyclical perspective. So I use the halving as the anchor, okay? If you use the halving as a starting point and then look at the summers that have come after that, you'll realize that every single one of them was a buying opportunity. Even if you go back to 2000 and picking the first cycle, which people could say, hey, this wasn't really a cycle, Bitcoin was really new, it still worked back then, okay? So if you mark with the halving right over here, October, again, I was kind of rough with it, may have been, I think it was October, right, 2012. Anyways, somewhere around there, give or take 1 or 2 months. And then you go all the way to the next summer, there was a drawdown, yes, but if you bought that dip, you saw a really, really good return, right? Now, if you ignored that dip, if you decide to go and touch grass or, of course, touch grass, guys, go out there and enjoy the summer. I'm not saying just sit at home, but don't ignore the markets, okay? Don't ignore the markets in the summers after the halving, right? You can see halving right over here then. If you bought the summer that came right after, you got a good return. Now, again, let's go to the 2016 halving right over here. The summer that came after was right over here. Yes, we had a drawdown. Yes, we had a few weeks of I should zoom in for you guys. Yes, we had a few weeks of red candles. And that's what gives people that reinforcement that, summers suck, right? I should just go away, right? Sell in May and go away. Well, you would have sold in May, you went away, and then you never came back and missed this entire run, right? So again, if you were let's go mark July, specifically July, right here, this month, okay, of 2017. So remember, halving in 2016, summer of 2017, which was July. If you missed out this month, you would have probably been waiting for a pullback that never came, and you missed out on the entire rally. Again, you go back to 2012 halving, and then again summer of 2013. So again, halving of 2012, summer of 2013, you would have missed out this run. Halving of 2016, summer of 2017. Let's go to the next one. Halving of 2020, summer of 2021, right? So again, you can mark May or you can mark July, it doesn't matter. Just mark out one of the summer months and you would have missed out on this run, right? Similarly, we're going to come to this cycle now, okay? Halving of 2024, then the summer of 2025, okay? Now, so far, every summer after the halving, right? The next year, if you have a halving on your X, you go your X plus 1, and that summer was an accumulation opportunity. That summer was always an accumulation opportunity, and this narrative is not out there, which is why I think it may play out again. Okay, Bitcoin is sitting, and if you just look at the structure of this, it's literally a bull flag. It's literally a bi-weekly bull flag. It doesn't get more beautiful than this. And it seems like we've just broken out, by the way. Okay, so we may see something soon. Now, again, I don't have too much time, so we're going to jump on over to the next chart. Now, this is going to be a tweet by Charles Edwards. And there are some nuances to this, but I do want to talk about this. What he's showing over here, essentially, is Bitcoin's parabolic growth when compared to the year-over-year rate of increase of global money supply. Okay, global money supply. This is not just the US. Okay, this is global money supply. What he's essentially saying is that whenever, okay, I can read it out for you guys first, central banks are flooding the market with fiat money, the yearly growth rate has just hit 9%. This is extreme and rare. The last few times that this happened, Bitcoin has gone on a massive run, around 400%, 460% to be exact. Now, since we all love charts over here, let me explain the chart. What he's saying is that every time the year-over-year growth in money supply has hit 9%, Bitcoin has gone on a run of around 450%, right? Happened in 2016, we hit 9%, right over here. Look at this dotted line, you guys may not see it. We're on a run. 9%, we went on a run. 9%, we went on a run. Now, I've kind of gone and I've tried to cross-check the veracity of this, and I want to throw in a little bit of a check on this, okay? Because I don't want us to get too excited, because yes, we have hit 9%-ish, right? So what I've done over here is I've essentially pulled down an indicator that measures global M2 year-over-year percent, and I've drawn in a horizontal line at around the 8% markish, basically resistance, right? I'm looking at the weekly over here. He's looking at the daily. Looking at the weekly, you can mark out around 9 to 8% as resistance. I'm marking out 8%. And you can see that every time we have crossed, I'm going to delete this for now. Okay, I'm going to redo it for you guys. So over here, we crossed it in 2017, October. So the year-over-year rate of increase of global money supply crossed 9%. I'm going to mark out a horizontal there. I'm going to zoom in. Now, you would have, like, if you zoom out, actually, for a second, I'm going to zoom out. You'll think, oh, you missed this entire run, right? You missed this entire run. What's the point of this? Like, you missed the entire run. I might as well wait for the next cycle. But again, I've spoken about this multiple times before. At the end of the 2017 cycle, everything happened. Everything happened in a span of a few months, right? So you can see that from the breakout, we had a drawdown into the breakout, actually. Look at that. Red candle. But then from the breakout of the year-over-year money supply, Bitcoin did a 260% move, right? So Bitcoin went from around $5,000 to $20,000. 5,000 to 20,000. I think you would have been very, very happy if you bought at 5,000, because you would have been able to sit through the entire bear market. Yes, gone into a little bit of a red for a few months during this phase here at 3K, but you'd be sitting pretty even today. So this is kind of showing that as long as you bought Bitcoin after year-over-year money supply crossed 8%, right? I think you were good for multiple years. In fact, you would have been good. It's a great long-term buy. Which kind of sits with some of the conversations we've been having in Mango, right? And Seed recently in the Seed Clubhouse sessions. Again, if you guys are on the Mango Seed program, please make sure to watch the most recent Seed Clubhouse sessions. So now Charles doesn't talk about that. He doesn't talk about this being a long-term buy. He talks about this being he's using this as a short-term analysis. And I want to talk about that too, because that's completely correct. And here's a little bit more, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about the long-term opportunity that we have over here. What I'm saying is, if we cross over 9%, it's a great long-term buy, because we are essentially breaking out, and year-over-year money supply is going to keep increasing, right? Which means that, hey, Bitcoin's thesis, or rather the Bitcoin thesis comes into play, that if money supply is increasing, the monetary hedge is a hard asset. The monetary hedge is something like Bitcoin, is something like gold. And right over here, it looks like we have crossed the 8% resistance line, coming down to retest it. If we bounce past this over here, if we start increasing like this, guys, right? It's not only going to line up with his thesis that he's saying that, hey, historically, every time Bitcoin has, or rather, every time year-over-year global M2 has hit 9%, he's not saying crossed, he's saying hit 9%. That's it, just hit, which also makes sense, right? It's a rate of increase that makes sense. You don't need to cross it. But what I'm saying is, if you cross it and you keep increasing, the long-term trajectory of Bitcoin is even better, right? So he's saying that short-term, we're going to increase by around 400%, 450% on average. What I'm saying is that if we actually cross it and keep growing, if the year-over-year, the rate of change keeps growing, it's a good long-term buy for the next 10 years. You can't go wrong buying here for the next 10 years, is what I'm saying, right? And now again, credits to him for pointing it out this way. Now, I want to also point out what he's talking about over here on the chart. So what he's saying is that it doesn't matter. You don't need to cross. So I'm saying that you need to have something like this for a long-term buy, right? Which makes sense, right, you guys? Because money supply is going to continually increase if we do break out, right? Global money supply, and Bitcoin is a global hedge. Bitcoin is the monetary asset to hedge against global debasement, right? So everyone can buy Bitcoin, right? If you're sitting in Japan, you're sitting in China, you're sitting in India, it doesn't matter. On the other side of one side of the world or the other side of the world, you have access to Bitcoin to protect yourself against your government's debasement, right? So this is global money supply increasing over a long time, and you have Bitcoin to hedge against this. So if you see this go like this, right, Bitcoin as a 10-year buy is going to be the answer. And this lines up with what I talked about a few weeks ago with my targets of Bitcoin have gone up, right? Around 2 weeks ago, I talked about how I see Bitcoin going anywhere. Like $750,000 is my anchor, give or take 250K, right? So 750K, long term, I'm talking about a 10-year target. 750K anchor, you can add 250K to that, taking Bitcoin to 1 million, or you subtract 250K to that, taking Bitcoin to at least 500,000. So yeah, that's a huge range, but it doesn't matter if that's a huge range. If Bitcoin is sitting at $100,000, that's still a 5x gain for you guys, right? If you look at it that way. And don't you dare complain about your parents or your grandparents having the opportunity to buy a house at $100,000 and now it's worth $600,000. Don't you dare complain in 10 years if you had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at $100,000 and then Bitcoin is sitting at around $600,000 to 1 million. You will not have the right to complain, okay? Because this is your opportunity, in my opinion. Like everything's lining up. Going back to what Charles was saying, though, okay? I'm talking about the long term. He's talking about the short term here, okay? Which is very, very valid. He's not looking at only the crosses. He's just saying, hey, all you need to do is hit 9%. That's it. It just needs to hit 9%. And every single time, you've had a short-term gain of, it did not work here though, by the way. So this would have been an outlier. Which cycle was this? 2014. Okay, so it did not work here. So I wonder, yeah, so he shows his chart from 2016. Charles, you did not show 2014. But going back to my chart, yeah, I did backtest this and I did come across this. But anyways, over here, we hit it. We saw a massive gain. Over here, we hit it, kinda, saw a massive gain. Here, we hit it, saw a massive gain. So let's go mark it out. Boom. 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 We hit it. Boom. And now we hit it again. Either way, it's still like a 90% success rate of hitting 9% year-over-year growth rate on money supply and Bitcoin going on a run. Now, does Bitcoin need to go 450% to 500%? It doesn't need to do that, right? I think a lot of us will be happy with even 250% to 300%. Let's say Bitcoin does a good 250% to 300%. Let's go 250. That takes Bitcoin to around $388,000. Let's say 350K. I think we're all going to be very, very happy with that, right? So you take this thesis, okay? You take this thesis combined with my thesis, okay, which is a lot simpler, a lot easier to visualize. And I think my thesis has kind of triggered over here, which again is based on his chart though, right? So credits to him. But I'm saying if we cross over 9%, which we have, right? Retest it and break out, which we have done in the previous times, we have a 10-year trade on our hands, guys. A 10-year trade. Okay. Now, again, in the Seeds Clubhouse session, I talked about how we can manage against the volatility of a 10-year trade. Okay. A plan, structured plan. So please watch that if you guys are in the program. This is the opportunity of a lifetime, in my opinion. This is that tail end of the long-term debt cycle that we can play smartly. Is that a word, smartly? Well, it's a word now. Do not miss this. Do not miss this. Okay. What else I want to talk about? Yeah, I think that's it, right? Sean says, can we all appreciate how much easier it is to buy Bitcoin than a house? Yeah, that too. That too. So you combine both of these charts, guys, okay? The fact that we talked about, if you, man, it's beautiful. We are seeing a confluence of all time zones, or not time zones, time frames come together. Very rarely do you have Bitcoin as a good buy for the short term, the mid-term, and the long term. Very rarely, okay? And remember, what makes a good buy? Not the definitive gain that you're going to get. What makes a good buy is how easy it is to manage your risk if you are wrong, while the upside is so huge. And on every time frame, the short term, the mid-term, and the longer term, the upside is huge and managing the risk is so easy. Okay, so halving, the sum of the halving has always been a great accumulation buy. Halving, accumulation, halving, accumulation, right? Halving, accumulation, right? Let's see if this one plays out. Probability says it does, but it's not a certainty, probability. So again, if you go one summer after the halving and you accumulate that summer, you would have had a great gain. One summer after the halving and you accumulated in that summer, you would have had a great gain. One summer after the halving and you accumulated after that summer, on that summer, great gain, right? So 30K to 60K, not bad. So good 2x. And now we are in that same phase. Halving and the summer after the halving. Do we accumulate over here? It's going to be difficult, right? Because you're thinking Bitcoin's already so expensive. Well, guess what, guys? Over here at around $32,000, Bitcoin felt expensive because everybody remembered Bitcoin at 10,000 just a few months ago. Over here at around 2,000, 3,000, I remember vividly Bitcoin felt very expensive because I was looking at Bitcoin at around $700 just a few months ago, right? I remember clearly. I'm like, Bitcoin 700. That's so expensive. I think I'll just buy Ethereum, right? It's always relative to a few months ago, okay? And $100,000 feels expensive today. But we have to feel uncomfortable. The best trades are when you're uncomfortable. The best trades are when you're uncomfortable. If you're feeling uncomfortable, it's likely worth considering. If you're feeling too comfortable, either buying or selling, you really have to take a step back and be like, wait a minute, am I comfortable because I'm in the zone? Or am I comfortable because my emotions are guiding me? Right? So over here, it's telling you that according to this thesis, this is a good accumulation opportunity. Okay. Then going back to this chart over here, where we're going to delete everything, clear out all this, remove 22 drawings. I'm going to mark out, first mark out the resistance, of course. Oops. Mark out resistance at around 8%, right? We're looking at these peaks here. Okay. And I'm saying that every time we've crossed and broken above, I know I'm redoing it over and over again, but that's what redundancy helps with, drilling it into your minds. Every time we've crossed over the 8% to 9% range, it's been a great long-term buy. And when I say long-term, what I'm essentially saying is that you would have been fine to sit through cycles of bear markets, right? Because over here, you would have been buying at around 4,400, right? And then the next time, you would have been buying at around 9,000. Jesus Christ, man. Let's use a horizontal ray. Would have been buying over here, right? And then the next time, you'd have been buying over here. We don't know how that's going to play out. Let's mark this. Already mark that. And yeah. So we have 3 data points of where we've crossed and kept going. Year over year, growth rate of global money supply has kept going. So we have it now where we're about to retest. Let's see if we can hold. If it plays out though, it's going to be a situation like this and like this. And these peaks, guys, okay, you're seeing how fast it grew here compared to over here. You know, government discipline was a tad bit more respectable. Government discipline was a tad bit more respectable. Over here, nope, they lost control. Over here, nope, they lost control. Over here too, will they lose control? Okay. This lines up with how governments have behaved historically. Right? They continue to lose control. And that's also because the debt burden is so large, right? And the interest payments on the debt burden are percent. So those interest payments balloon. And this over here, right, is the growth nominally, right, measured year over year, right? So the debt is growing, but the percent is growing too, because yields, the markets are demanding more and more yields from the government's bad policy, bad discipline. Markets are saying, you guys are behaving badly, we're going to demand more interest from you guys. So one of 2 things is going to happen. Either governments crash the markets or they explode the money supply. One of the two, right? Which is why Elon, going back to Elon, right? His view on Doge was commendable, but like we talked about all the way before the election concluded, we talked about it in Seed, we talked about it over here on live streams too, that any government discipline is going to be bearish Bitcoin, bearish markets, period, right? And politicians are not going to be too eager to implement that government discipline. At this stage of the cycle, austerity, even though it's probably needed, will not be implemented, right? And most likely shouldn't be implemented at this stage. At this stage, the best way out is to inflate your way out, right? People are going to complain about inflation, but that's going to be the best way out of this problem. That's the only, I can't think of any other way. Historically, that's always been, every empire has inflated themselves out of the problem and then reverted back to some form of hard currency. Most of the time, it has been gold. The longer Bitcoin can accumulate, the higher the target before hitting the resistance. Yeah, exactly. So going back to this chart over here, we can turn on the Mango dynamic to be able to see that. I'll turn it on with the equilibrium tracker. You can see that equilibrium is compressing, right? And we are now breaking out while the volatility bands are going within the volatility zone over here, right? So you can see that we're about to break out over here. This is looking like expansion phases is going to begin very, very soon. Everything is lining up and everyone is distracted. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay, we can do a quick rundown. It's funny how the governments keep finding ways to cover their tracks on printing like no other. Yeah, and the thing is, we can complain about it or get rich from it, right? And I think the latter option is far better, right? We're going to do a quick rundown on the Mango dashboard, try to find coins that are looking great, and remember what we want to see. We want to see a lot of green and a lot of blue. Geez, I wonder whether this is a good time to be buying Bitcoin. What do you guys think? This is really difficult, right? This is a really complicated picture. Like, this is one of the more difficult ones. Like, I don't know. Oh man, I don't know. This one is so freaking difficult. Like, it's rare, right? It's rare. We don't. It's so good that you have to ignore it. There has to be some. The market is tricking me. The market has to be tricking me right here, right? The market has given me the long signal on every single time frame. Volatility is blue on every single. Volatility is 0 on the 2-day. Jesus Christ. Okay, so it's a no-brainer. This is the bench that every coin needs to compete against at the moment. You need to look as good as this, or you just buy Bitcoin, okay? Unless you want to take on a slight bit of a beta trade. Looking at the support level right here, coming at $105,000. We had that opportunity. By the way, are you guys using this new feature? Okay, the new feature's been secretly and stealthily implemented into the Mango dashboard. We haven't been. Mango just is so bad at marketing, right? It's so bad. But we implemented support and resistance features now on the dashboard as well. Higher time frame levels for now. Let us know how you guys are liking it, and we can implement it on the lower time frames as well. So for now, this has been working out really, really well. Okay, fine. Cardano, relax and enjoy. Gonna do Cardano, man. Where's Cardano? I think I'll go all the way to the bottom of the list. Next page number 10. No, I'm kidding. Where is it though? Doesn't seem to be on here. Oh, there it is. Long the 4. This is not looking too good, man. Like, Cardano. You guys know. I'm a trend trader. Okay, I'm a trend trader, and as soon as it starts even threatening and losing the monthly dynamic, at that point you just gotta look. Okay, my view on it is when you see your asset that you believe in, that you have a strong fundamental belief in. Okay, like you know that this is an asset that the market is completely mispricing. If you see it doing something like this, what you need to do is step away from it. Okay. Use it as an investment vehicle, but you have to be trading on the short term stronger assets like Bitcoin. So you use Bitcoin strength to collect more Cardano. So we're seeing this on Bitcoin and you're seeing this on Cardano. You don't want to be wasting your time in Cardano. Yes, have a spot bag, right? But you need to be putting in your accumulation time into the stronger assets, okay? Unless you're saying, no, I don't want any part of the market, I'm just going to buy Cardano and wait like years before it eventually does. You should be willing to wait years because you don't know when this is going to turn around. If you are trading just on momentum and you don't know anything about Cardano and you're trading it because your friends have told you to buy Cardano, like really be real with yourself. Really be real with yourself and ask yourself that, because then you shouldn't be in this asset. Okay, then you shouldn't be in this asset, because you can go look at Cardano Bitcoin too. And what it's telling you, okay, you don't need to trade Cardano. You don't need to go short Cardano. But what it's telling you is that had you just bought Bitcoin and waited for Cardano Bitcoin to flip long, because it's saying short here, short here, short here, short here, right? Short on all the time frames. What this is saying is that had you just bought Bitcoin instead and then waited for this to flip green, you would have had 40% more Cardano today. 40% more Cardano. That's what this is saying. You don't need to go short Cardano, okay? All you need to do is buy spot Bitcoin instead, and then when your asset, whether this be XRP, Cardano, SUI, whatever, when your asset starts looking great on at least the mid time frames, you can start scaling back in, right? Until then, you're accumulating more Cardano by being in Bitcoin. That's how I want you guys to look at it. Don't use another coin's strength to collect your coin when your coin is being weak, and Cardano is being weak right now, right? So don't just waste your opportunity. This is opportunity. ETH, I posted on Seed too that I think it might be time to start looking at ETH. I have to begin to start checking my biases too. Well, I don't really have biases. I talked to you guys about my long term. Let's go look at ETH really quickly. What chart should I use? Let's use here. So just going to give most of you who have not been following our ETH trade a rundown on what our ETH trade was like years ago. I'm gonna clear out this. Okay. Essentially, we looked at this resistance level over here at 0.06. This was all the way back in 2023. And initially, we looked at it over here, right, which was the previous cycle. And I did not expect ETH to break past this. Similar story with Sol this cycle. This is simple TA principles. Simple TA principles where I looked at this, I'm like, it's very unlikely that ETH is going to break past this, right? If it did, it would have been super bullish. But it did not. Monthly time frame too, you can look at it, did not. And then when it broke down over here, this was the new anchor. I had a long-term target all the way down to 0.017. And I told myself back then that when it comes down there, eventually I will make some excuse or the other to not go long ETH, right? And that's essentially what ended up happening. While I did not go leverage long ETH, but while I did buy some spot ETH, I did not go heavy on ETH. Now I did have legitimate reasons, okay? Because I had only a certain amount of allocation to allocate to altcoins. You guys know that thesis too, based on Bitcoin dominance. So I had to allocate to strength, and there were stronger coins. So even though I had to think back to what I said back in 2023, I was like, okay, I have a legitimate reason to not buy ETH, right? But I also did say that I'm going to start looking for this kind of structure, which we saw last cycle too, which is like a rounded structure, higher, low, right? And we're beginning to start seeing that now, okay? I'm just, again, pure TA, guys. It's ETH against Bitcoin, okay? Our long-term target hit. Now I'm beginning to see the second sign, which is potential high, low within this range. I don't know how it's going to play out, but we could see something like this. This is an opportunity for me to collect more Bitcoin with ETH. So I don't know if we get back to 0.08, but at the very least, I could be gunning for a target of around 0.04, which is not bad. It's a 2x of my Bitcoin that I put into ETH, right? Now, here's the issue. The issue is that I'm looking at this, right? But I'm not being aggressive just yet because the Mango dynamic is showing weekly resistance at the moment. However, if you use the new Mango dynamic with the buy and bid zones and you switch on over to the 3-day and the 4-day, you're going to begin to see an accumulation pattern over here. Okay, this is really, really important. I don't want to ignore this. I do want to start keeping a strong eye on this. And if you go back on over to the dashboard as well, the USD pairing is not looking bad at all. The weekly flip long 8 hours ago, the 4-day flip long has been long for 51 days, but it's been going sideways clearly. It's only 1.5%, but not bad, right? With the amount of bad sentiment ETH has had over the past like 3 months, the past 2 months has just been going sideways. Okay, ETH Bitcoin not looking bad either. Let's go look at ETH Bitcoin over here. Not bad, not bad. ETH is doing fine against Bitcoin over here, in fact. So at this point, we need to take a step back from being bearish Ethereum and be objective. Be objective on what we are seeing over here, okay? And I'm fine. I'm fine with ETH at this point, okay? I'm fine with ETH. Dashboard is saying ETH is one of the better buys versus Bitcoin right now. Yeah, there you go, Wolvie. Exactly, man. You and I are on the same page. We'll just stick to Bitcoin. Yeah, that's the easiest thing to do. Again, the mango thesis has been, based on what Jay just said, we have been saying this entire cycle, we've been keeping it very, very simple. Look at so we first started with the weekly. We had a little bit of a fake out, right? Once we realized that it was the monthly, it was somewhere here we had the fake out, right? Once we realized it was the monthly that we needed to follow, we readjusted and said, we are going to just stay 90 to 95% minimum Bitcoin on our portfolio, as long as the monthly trend is in a high-low structure. Right? Just look at the line chart and just ignore all the candles, keep things simple for you guys, for yourselves, and just play this. Just play this. As long as it's going up, stay 90 to 95% Bitcoin. Once we start seeing things breaking down and there'll be enough signs, guys, we can start increasing our allocation towards alts. Now that 10% that you are allocating towards alts, you want to make sure that you are in strong alts. Okay. As soon as your altcoin shows weakness and loses trend, out. That's what I did with Sui too. As much as I wanted Sui to continue giving us those easy trades, because we traded 3 times, the same freaking trade 3 times. Would have been beautiful to keep trading. But I've learned from the past that all good things come to an end. Okay? It was same story with Chainlink, same story with BAD, same story with CAS as well. So all good things come to an end, and you collect your favorite coin with that coin, right? So we collected Bitcoin. You guys could have been collecting Cardano, XRP, whatever it may be. Because I know nothing about Chainlink, but that doesn't mean I don't trade it, right? I know nothing about Chainlink. I don't know much about CAS other than it being proof of work with smart contracts, right? That's all I know about it. And yeah, so now stick to strong coins is what I'm trying to say. There is a coin that I've been talking about. Let's just go pull it up. SPX 6900 just had a great 4-hour candle close as well, and has been looking really, really strong compared to other altcoins. Look at this straight line weekly. Look at that monthly close. Oh geez, guys, look at that, right? So again, stick to strong coins. No biases. Use your strong coins to collect your favorite coin. Right now, to some people, the strong coin might be their coin, which is a great feeling, right? And a lot of people who are only Bitcoiners and they feel great right now. But even Bitcoin will have its time where it's doing nothing and other coins are doing great. So you can't just miss out on the opportunity to collect more Bitcoin when those coins are doing great. SPX 6900, let's go ahead and talk about it really, really quickly. We had a great 4-hour candle close just now. Like, again, this is the 4-hour time frame, so take it with a pinch of salt. But it's kind of broken out of this accumulation structure, right? Let's see if it sees continuation. But either way, you guys are seeing that the high time frames are looking fantastic, right? I think the weekly is looking good too. Stronger than everything else, right? This seems like it wants to do something like this. So yeah, I think today's live stream will end here. You covered Cardano. I'll take a look at XRP really quickly for you guys. Oof, XRP. I just saw the chart. It looked good. You guys know my thoughts on XRP overall. I think XRP should be played on the bi-weekly. It has now flipped along the 4-hour, the 12-hour, and the daily, looking much better than last week. The 2-day is still neutral. Better. It was short last week. 4-day is neutral as well. Again, this picture is significantly better. Damn, big change. And you can see the chart too over here. My view is that as long as XRP is holding the bi-weekly dynamic, things are looking, yeah, it's holding still. Again, great buy opportunity for you guys. Are you guys trading this or just ignoring me? Are you guys, again, okay? I know, must have felt uncomfortable, but up 17% since then. the way to look at this is it's likely going to range until it breaks out of the sandwich that I have drawn out for you guys between these two zones. If we break out of this, likely going to hit Krishna's targets. I think Krishna's targets are around $20. So great opportunity. Great opportunity. Think tank. There's mango dashboard sale long on Sui. I don't know. I haven't checked Sui, but I'm gonna wrap up over here. Keep it mango. Keep it easy. Keep it stress free. If you guys are enjoying these live streams, make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and make sure to join our Discord at themangoway.com/Discord. And the Bitunix giveaway thingy. Again, you'll find a link down in the description. I don't have the tab opened up here, but $2,000 giveaway is running for this live stream as well. All you have to do is deposit $50 and you qualify for the $2,000 giveaway. See you guys in the next one. Keep it mango, keep it easy, keep it stress free. Ciao.